Hi and welcome back. Been a very busy week, still harvesting everything. And there's also festivals going on. I'm trying to see if I can't film anything, if I can, show anything. There's one tomorrow night hosted by the city that I live in. It's going to be 80s themed, so I'm working on the hair. So, yeah. So in celebration of this year's harvest, we are going to go ahead and work on and celebrate the eggplant. Yeah, I know, they're not much, but you can do a lot with them. The most popular thing that you're going to be able to do with these is eggplant parmesan. If you like that stuff, go for it. I don't. About 30 years ago, I want to say 30, a little over 30 years ago, I was actually food poisoned by bad eggplant. It was improperly stored, and I was sick for the longest time. Now, it took 30 years for my body to actually accept eggplant again. Because even if it was around me, I could feel myself getting sick. It was that bad. I feel like I should have been in the hospital at that time, but I didn't think anything of it. I just thought I had a mild case of food poisoning. No, I didn't. And it took that long for my body to actually accept this fruit again. Now, eggplant is a fruit, technically. Just like a tomato is considered a berry, technically. Today, we are going to make what's called baba Ghanoush. It is kind of like hummus. It's prepared just like hummus, except for you're using eggplant instead of chickpeas. Use what you got, because with the way prices are increasing, you want to use as much of what you can get out of your harvest in every way possible. And hopefully, and you'll be able to freeze this once it is made, and you can bring it out and thaw it out. This is perfect for family gatherings. There is perfect for game nights or just snacking with crackers. So let's get started. So I was able to obtain 3 medium-sized eggplant. Now, I did make this for my sister on her birthday, but we were using the tiny eggplants, and I don't think I had enough, and this recipe that I'm giving you turned out way too salty. So that's the only reason why I can think of why it was so salty, is because we didn't have enough of the eggplants. I should have bought more. I'm sorry. I apologize. But what we're going to do is, because these are so huge, we're going to go ahead and split these in half. Place them face down. Feed your worms. I still have a farm. Okay, and we are going to go ahead and roast these on a low broil. Now, if your oven doesn't have a broil section, or if you are, working with fire or whatnot, fire's better. Trust me, this is going to be fabulous in a barbecue. then just keep an eye on it. Keep it on a lower temperature for longer. If you don't have a broil setting on your oven, go ahead and put this on a low temperature, like 300, and keep an eye on it. Just don't let it burn. The reason why I'm putting oil on here is so that the heat can evenly distribute throughout the eggplant, and make sure you get both sides here. Because that oil is going to be absorbed by the eggplant, and it's going to reduce a lot easier. You want this kind of charred, but not burnt. So let's go ahead and put this in the oven, and we'll be back. Now that we have this nice and roasted, we need to let this completely cool. Some of them will collapse, but that's fine because we need to actually pick these up and scoop them out and put them in a bowl. So you want this completely cool. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and scoop out all the flesh into a bowl. Still a little warm, but that's fine. Okay, the skins you don't want, and since they have oil on them, they're not good for the worm farm, so this goes in the garbage or compost, depending on your preference. Okay. Now that is very mashable, we can just use a fork for this. You can use a blender, but it's not necessary. And the skin should just peel right off. I'm going to let this cool down a little bit further. I'm going to need a bigger bowl. Let this cool a little bit more. Grab a bigger bowl, and we'll go ahead and get this mashed. All right, so if you have one of these, you can use it. You can use a potato masher. Blenders are the fastest time, but it does break it up too much, at least for my liking. I like a little bit of chunk whenever I am dipping crackers or cucumbers or carrot sticks into this. Basically, we're going to go ahead and break it all up. The juice of 1 lemon, the zest is optional. The recipe calls for about 2 tablespoons. It's about a lemon. Mash, mash, mash. One teaspoon of salt. This is where it gets too salty. I had about half of this whenever I was making it for my sister. Or if you want to, wait until the end and taste test it, and then add salt as needed. You do have that option. Now a quarter teaspoon of black pepper. You can omit this if you don't like pepper. I don't mind it, but I do have a friend of mine who is very sensitive to black pepper. She has something's wrong with with the lining of her stomach. Anything with black pepper or capsaicin or anything else like that just really makes her sick. So you can omit anything if you needed. But the one thing you can't, I don't recommend, is our garlic. Now I'm putting in about a half a tablespoon of this. You can add more or less if you like, depends on your liking. About a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Get the good stuff. And then you want some tahini. Now, there's 2 different recipes for this. You can either use tahini, or if you have a problem with sesame, because there are people out there who are allergic to sesame, you can substitute this with mayonnaise. I've never tried the mayonnaise. I don't really know how that would turn out, but apparently that's an option. So you're going to go ahead and make sure that this very well shaken up, because it does separate very quickly. And about 3 tablespoons. I'm going to eye this, because if you add too much tahini, it just tastes more like sesame. But it is incredibly important that it is very well shaken up, because you don't want just sesame oil in here and leave all the bits at the bottom. Now, at this point, you want to taste test and see if it needs anything. Another thing is that with the blender, see the strings that you had on the eggplant? Those will disappear as well, and it'll be a lot more smooth, but I kind of like the strings. I'm weird. And we all know that. So let's taste test. A little bit more salt. This time we need a little bit more salt, not less. So I am going to go ahead and add about another half a teaspoon. The recipe calls for 2 teaspoons. I think that's where I went wrong, is because I had about half the eggplant over at my sister's house, but I added the full amount of salt. There we go. So much better. If you want to add more lemon, you can do that. You make it like a lemony baba ganoush. Or more garlic for a garlicky baba ganoush. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and make a serving. Now, the rest of this I'm going to put in the refrigerator to cool down, because it does need to stiffen up a little bit. Okay, and you can put toppings on here, like parsley or extra garlic. I am going to go ahead and use the pomegranate molasses that my sister got me. Just a little bit, just a drizzle, to give it a little bit of a sweetness to it. Very powerful pomegranate flavor. Just use this as a drizzle. All right, and I am going to go ahead and sit down and munch. These are my favorite crackers. They're made with almond flour. And they make them in different flavors. As you can tell, I have very little left. But this, I'm going to sit down and munch. It's still a little bit warm out there. Every once in a while we'll get a colder day, overcast day. It is in like the 70s, mid 70s at night, but it's still in the 90s during the day. So we still have our air conditioners on, and our electric bill is sky high because of it. Still working on that quilt thing. Seriously, it's huge. I have to move everything out of my crafting corner to be able to set that up, and I'm trying to find room to put all the stuff temporarily while I film the frame, the quilting frame. So it's going to be a little bit, and I do apologize for that. I'm going to try to do this in stages because it's a lot. But in the meantime, thank you for joining. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.